over the countryside, the monks who have been living elsewhere have heard that the Buddha is going to be continuing on in Savatthi for another month. And so they all leave, or at least many of them leave their residences, and they come to Savatthi in order to see the Buddha. And during this month, it said, as the weeks go by, the elder monks are teaching even more intensively. They're teaching and instructing the younger monks. And then the younger monks are continuing to strive diligently, and they're reaching still higher stages of attainment. Okay, then when the full moon in the month of Komudi arrives, again the Buddha is sitting out in the open, surrounded by the Sangha of the monks, and he surveys the silent Sangha of monks, and he then addresses them, and he speaks praise of this community. He says, "This assembly is free from prattle, free from chatter. It consists purely of heartwood." Heartwood is the hard and solid wood at the center of a tree. It's the wood that one can use to make furniture. And so he continues to praise this assembly. He says, "This assembly is worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of anjali, as reverential salutation, an incomparable field of merit for the world. Then this assembly is such that even a small gift to it becomes great, that is, it generates great merit, and a great gift generates still greater merit. This is an assembly that's rare for the world to see, and it's worth traveling many leagues, even with a travel bag, to see such a community of monks as this." And then he starts specifying the achievement of the monks in this assembly. So he says first that there are starting from the higher and then working down in stages, that in this community of monks, there are monks who have destroyed the asavas, all the defilements, and who have become liberated by final knowledge. That is, that there are arahants in this assembly. There are other monks who have destroyed the 5 lower fetters and who have become non-returners, who will take rebirth in the higher realms and reach final liberation there. Again, in this assembly, there are monks who have destroyed the 3 fetters and who have weakened greed, hatred, and delusion. So these are the once-returners who come back one more time and then reach the end of suffering. And then there are monks who have destroyed the 3 fetters and who have become stream enterers, who have at most 7 more existences before reaching full enlightenment and gaining liberation. Then in the next couple of paragraphs, he speaks about the practices of the monks in that assembly. And first he goes through what are called the 37 aids to enlightenment, which are arranged into the 7 groups: the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 right efforts or right kinds of striving, the 4 bases for spiritual power, the 5 faculties, the 5 powers, the 7 enlightenment factors, the Noble Eightfold Path. Then he comes to the specific meditation subjects that the monks are practicing. And he says that in this assembly or in this community, there are monks who are practicing, we have the 4 immeasurables, that is the boundless loving kindness, compassion, altruistic joy, equanimity. Then there are monks who are practicing the meditation on foulness, or the unattractive nature of the body. This is the meditation on the 32 parts of the body in order to see the unattractive nature of the body. Then there are monks who are practicing the contemplation of impermanence, observing the rise and fall of the five aggregates. And then he says, in this sangha of bhikkhus, there are monks who are devoted to the development of mindfulness of breathing. So in a way, he's sort of gone through the whole register of items till he comes to the item or the subject that he wants to focus upon in this discourse. Okay, so now in section number 15, he actually takes up mindfulness of breathing. And so he says, when mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, it is of great fruit and great benefit. When mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, it fulfills the 4 foundations of mindfulness. When the 4 foundations of mindfulness are developed and cultivated, they fulfill the 7 factors of enlightenment. And when the 7 factors of enlightenment are developed and cultivated, they fulfill true knowledge and deliverance or liberation. So here we could see that the Buddha is taking mindfulness of breathing, and then first of all, he's, in a general way, he's declaring that it's of great fruit and benefit. But then he sketches the benefits. First, this is like a synoptical teaching or a condensed teaching. So he presents the condensed teaching in several steps. So we have the one meditation subject, mindfulness of breathing, fulfills all 4 of the foundations of mindfulness. So that is the second step, from mindfulness of breathing itself. Then the second, fulfilling the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Then when the 4 foundations of mindfulness are fulfilled by the practice of mindfulness of breathing, the third step is that they fulfill the 7 bojjhangas, the 7 factors of enlightenment. Then when the 7 factors of enlightenment are developed to fulfillment, then comes the 4th step. They fulfill true knowledge and deliverance, or liberation. And so this paragraph sets up a kind of, almost like a table of contents, or an outline for the rest of the sutta. And then in what follows, the Buddha is going to fill in that outline by elaborating on each of these expressions. Okay, so first the Buddha is going to explain how mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated so that it is of great fruit and great benefit. And first he mentions what would be the ideal places for practicing mindfulness of breathing. That is, one can go to the forest. Here we have forest right around here. And normally, if one goes to the forest, the ideal place within the forest to sit down will be at the foot of a tree. Because if one is sitting at the foot of a tree, then one has, often it's easy to form a seat from the leaves that have fallen, the leaves or the pine needles, if it's a pine tree. And then one has the canopy of leaves to give one shelter from the heat of the sun. And if one is going to be sitting outdoors, there's a challenge that one will usually meet. I guess one will meet it here as well as in India, and that is mosquitoes and gadflies and other creatures that come. So what's used in some of the Buddhist countries of Southeast Asia, they have, maybe you've seen pictures, the monks carry this big umbrella. In the Thailand, they call it a krot. And the big umbrella has a mosquito net tied up over the top of it. So then when one sits down and one takes one's meditation seat, first of all, the umbrella, one hangs the umbrella from the low branch of the tree, and then one unfolds the mosquito net, puts the mosquito net around one. So one could be sitting enclosed in the mosquito net. Then the mosquitoes don't have a chance to attack one. But if one wants to be really, if one has really strong will, strong determination, one can just make the determination to face the mosquitoes. And initially, it's quite disturbing when the mosquitoes come. But if one just persists, first of all, it forces you to keep your attention on the breath. Because if you let the attention wander from the breath, then you start feeling the mosquito bites, and then you get annoyed with the mosquitoes and start swishing them away. Or if one loses the temper, then one squats the mosquito and kills it. Then you start worrying that you break a precept. And then what you find, at least I found on occasion, not all the time, is that if you just endure the first few mosquito bites, after some time when more mosquitoes come, it doesn't really bother one very much. Because usually it's just usually the first few mosquito bites that are really annoying and irritating. It's a little bit like when you're going swimming, you feel the water, oh, the water's so cold, I don't want to jump in. Feel it again, oh, it's so cold. But then you get up the nerve and you jump in the water. You know, it's cold, but you get used to it, and so you can go swimming in the cold water. Once you're in the water and swimming, you don't think, oh, it's so cold, because you're used to it.